James Comer is not very happy that the lid is off of the latest round of the cover-up, which apparently is led by this dumb guy.
They have created a narrative, a false narrative, that there's a cover-up, and they've created a false narrative that Donald Trump somehow some type of liability in this. Both narratives are getting exploded.
I think where they're getting it from, James, I feel like the place that these Democrats are getting the fact that there's a cover-up and it surrounds Donald Trump is the fact that there was a bunch of redactions and that staffers under Kash Patel were working around the clock ever since he got into power to cover up everything where Donald Trump is mentioned in these files. In a few places where he was mentioned, they've worked hard to get rid of those too. Or maybe, as an outside chance, it's also a little bit of this.
Because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children.
Do you think maybe that's the reason why there's this cover-up, this blatant and obvious cover-up that everyone sees right in front of us? I mean, even the people that support you and the pedophiles that you're protecting, they even know that it's a cover-up. They're just okay with it. That's the only difference here. Also, by the way, yesterday there was testimony also from Epstein's accountant. He had his attorney there with him. But this civil rights attorney, Nancy Erica Smith, went on MS Now to talk about what is that was revealed in that particular testimony that I don't think many people that are on the side of protecting these pedophiles once revealed. This might be just another reason, James, as to why everyone sees this as the cover-up that it is.
We do know that Khan, Epstein's accountant, testified that the Epstein estate settled with Jane Doe number 4. A very important Jane Doe. Jane Doe number 4's files were hidden until Trump bombed Iran and changed the subject. Jane Doe number 4 alleged to the FBI that Epstein abused her when she was 13 and that Trump abused her when she was 15. Khan, Epstein's accountant, testified that the Epstein estate settled with Jane Doe number 4 for both Epstein and Trump. His lawyer tried to walk that back. Indike refused to confirm or deny that. Now, how do we get to the bottom of that? Congress passes a law invalidating all NDAs from the Trump or the Trump organization, from Epstein, any of his entities, from the estate, or based on any activities at the Epstein properties. Let's have the truth. We want the truth, no NDAs.
Listen. This is one of those pieces of news that's surrounding these Epstein files and the lies that are being told that will quickly and easily get buried. This was mentioned here. I'm not sure which kind of media tour that Nancy Erica Smith is on, or really anyone else that's going to reveal what she just revealed. I'm going to retell it just in case we missed it, because I feel like it's easy to. The accountant from Jeffrey Epstein said that they paid off a settlement to Jane Doe number 4, who accused both Epstein and Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, of abuse. And they paid her off for both of them. So in order for you to separate Donald Trump from this payoff, which is, of course, protected by NDAs currently, which she also mentioned, you would have to also assume that Jeffrey Epstein didn't abuse this young girl. Does anyone think that Jeffrey Epstein didn't abuse young girls? Does anyone think that this particular Jane Doe who was paid off from this settlement was only lying about Donald Trump? But then she was telling the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. Why would she do that? She was also talking to the FBI. I feel like if you're talking to the FBI and you lied to them about one of the people that abused you, they'd probably come after you. After this horrific debacle of a briefing / fake deposition that Democrats walked out on, I also got a chance to see what Pam Bondi got to say about it.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena you to appear for a closed-door deposition. Will you commit to complying with that subpoena and appearing for a closed-door deposition?
I made it crystal clear I will follow the law.
But
Next question.
Next question.
That's the question where it was an issue where Democrats walked out because she wouldn't answer the question. Todd Blanche was caping for her, and so was James Comer. But you see the way he was hovering over her shoulder? That was weird, wasn't it? Todd Blanche is like, so as she's not going to answer the question of whether or not she's going to appear and follow that subpoena that she should follow, Todd Blanche is like, you better answer this question right. These guys are creepy, man. But you see how angry she gets? why so confrontational from a very simple question about following the law, especially as attorney general, and especially as someone that said they wanted to get to the bottom of this? It all refers back to the beginning thing that James Comer said. I don't know why people think that this is a cover up. They're making it blow up back there. It's because it's a cover up. So when asked specifically about her testifying under oath, where she was pretty dodgy on whether or not she would, James Comer is there to cape and swing in and help her ass out.
Mr. Chairman, a follow. Do you want her to testify under oath, you personally?
I mean, I want to talk to everyone. I want to talk to everyone. I don't.
But this was not.
I personally don't see any reason for her to do a deposition. She's the sitting attorney general. She's turning over documents. I think the Democrats want to do this to embarrass her. I did not vote for the subpoena to bring her in for a deposition. I want to bring in the bad guys for the deposition. I want to bring in the men who have abused women. I want to bring in anyone who is involved in the prosecution or lack of prosecution of Epstein, Maxwell, and some of these other guys. So that's where I think our time and energy should be spent. But we had 5 Republicans vote with the Democrat.
This guy can't possibly think anyone would believe that he wants anything to do with getting to the bottom of this by saying, I want to bring in the bad guys that abused women. Well, bro, which ones are those? Have you investigated any of that? Have you guys taken the next step of the names that have been listed for allegedly abusing girls and bringing them in? Have you done it? He hasn't done it. In fact, what he's done is said, I think this is all pretty much done. Todd Blanche said, we're done with this whole thing. They want us to stop talking about it. So I feel like all this stuff that you keep saying doesn't really make any sense. And matter of fact, what it makes sense with is you're trying to make sure Pam Bondi doesn't testify. Why wouldn't you want Pam Bondi to testify under oath? But, you had these traitorous 5 Republicans vote with Democrats to have her testify. That sounds like someone that's trying to do this weird thing that James Comer said is not happening. Cover it up.
We had the sitting attorney general and the top brass of the Department of Justice there yesterday to answer questions. And, they were wanting TV cameras in there, and you know why, so they could show out and get on MSNBC and be outraged. But there's an ongoing investigation. And if you're mature, credible members of Congress leading an investigation, you don't want that televised because you want to get information that will hopefully lead to criminal referrals and lead to accountability. And to do that, you can't do that in public. So we had the sitting attorney general there last night, and they stormed out, and they were outraged. So, look, I don't know how to answer your question because I wasn't expecting that. I thought everyone would be happy that I was able to get the Attorney General come in for a briefing and they pull a stunt like that.
His case for why Pam Bondi shouldn't testify under oath and in front of the American people about this case that she was willing to put her face in front of cameras in front of the American people and have binders with a bunch of right-wing influencers. Suddenly, she wants everything done in secret. Suddenly, James Comer wants everything done in secret because he makes up this weird rule that apparently we're supposed to believe and buy. He says if you're mature, you don't want that televised because you want it to lead to criminal referrals and accountability. What is it about public testimony where Americans can see what you're doing and saying that would not lead to criminal referrals and accountability? He doesn't say. All he said was, that will lead to criminal referrals and accountability. Why not? There's very simple follow-up questions that every reporter needs to, write down so they can remember. There's like a few terms you could use. Why is the first one. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Very simple because all they do is just say things and they never really have a reason behind why they say these things. They say it and expect you to believe it because they said so. That's not good enough, bro. And as a matter of fact, when someone did follow up and point out what they thought from this sham briefing / not deposition that Democrats walked out of yesterday or a couple days ago, what happens is he wasn't ready for the question of, well, this isn't really a deposition, though, right?
Does that count as a deposition, like in the way that it would if you called someone from a subpoena?
It's a briefing, and it's different. But would the Democrats say, oh, there's a cover-up, well, talk about it. Ask it. There was not one question from the Democrats. There were from Republicans, and obviously the Democrats had someone secretly tape recording that in there because reporters were going into great detail about the conversation that I had with Summer Lee and all of that. So That's a violation of the rules too, but I don't care. I stand by what I said. And
So you just admitted that it's a briefing and not a deposition. You also said that you don't want her to testify under oath. You also said that you want full accountability and some kind of criminal referrals and for all these potential co-conspirators and people that did these things. So if you want all that, why don't you want it under oath? It's odd. It's because this is a cover up that you said apparently Democrats are just claiming as a cover up. The way that people know it's a cover up is because everything that you say leads to us believing that this here is a cover up.